All right. Should the Texans re-sign Stefon Diggs? Also, the NFL released their Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates for today, and Kamari Lassiter nor Calen Bullock were on it. Let's get into it on this inaugural episode of Talking Texans. I'm Evan Cervantes. Been following the Texans for over 10 years now. Been watching them my whole life, as close as anyone. Love to talk ball. Love to talk Texans. So make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll be providing you guys a weekly content during the off season as well as during the season. You know, we're going nonstop. Um, Make sure you guys follow me on X right there at Evan Cervantes. You know, I'm posting daily, engaging with other users, fans, and all that good stuff. So let's get straight into it. I don't want to hold you guys off. So, should the Texans bring back Stefon Diggs? It's a popular topic around here right now. You know, I say it's about a split decision. Some say they want him back, some say to let him walk. Now, here's the things with Diggs, man. Here's what's up with Diggs. What's he gonna demand? All right. I think that's the biggest question out of it all. What's he gonna demand? Is he gonna demand more than what the market thinks he's worth? Or is he open to taking a team friendly deal? Because if he's open to taking another, 1 year prove it type of deal, team friendly, obviously, then sure, yeah, bring him back. He was a captain this year. He said he was having a lot of fun playing with the Texans. And realistically, he was on his way to having a good season before the ACL injury. But that's another factor, man. He's over 30. He's coming off his first major injury in the ACL. Now we're talking. Remember, we're talking about a guy has been pretty durable during his career. You know, how's he going to respond to it? There's a lot of question marks here. Ultimately, it's going to come down to what D'Amico and Caserio think about it. CJ has already said that he wants him back, but like I said, man, what's he going to demand? If he wants, like a 2-year deal, closer to like 20 million, over 10 million per year. No, thank you. No, thank you. I think it's time to say goodbye if he does that. But if he's open to taking a little, 1-year deal, 1-year team friendly deal, I don't see why not. You need a veteran presence on this team, anyways. And it's not like Diggs was some washed up bum. He was on his way to having a good year. I think he was projected to have over 1,000 yards. I don't know how many touchdowns or whatever, but it was pretty solid, especially for a wide receiver too. Obviously, Nico Collins is the wide receiver one on this team. Tank Dell, unfortunately, we don't know if he's going to play next year. He's definitely not going to be ready at the start of the season. And to be honest, if I had to guess, I'd assume Tank Dell doesn't play next year. And that sucks because we all know what Tank Dell is capable of. Had a down, not a little bit. He had a down year this year. Wasn't getting involved as much in the offense, but we kind of got reassured of what he could do during the Kansas City game before he went down. So it sucks you're not going to be able to have him. Also, you're gonna have to add wide receiver depth either way. Like, let's be honest, the skill position group outside of Nico Collins and Joe Mixon is mid. It's mid as fuck. Like like there's no other way around it, man. You know what I'm saying? Like John Mechie. I mean, what is John Mechie at this point anymore, man? What is John Mechie? What is Xavier Hutchinson? Robert Woods is going to be a free agent. He's gone. They're not bringing him back. You're gonna have to spam offensive skill position in the draft and in free agency this year for depth. So that's why I say, if they want to bring Steph back, sure, I'm okay with it. But it has to be a team friendly deal. If not, you got to say bye because you don't have the money to spend like you did last year. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think they're going to have the 25th overall pick in the drafts. I'd take a wide receiver right there, if you like one. If you like an offensive lineman, sure, that you like, take him. But the thing is, I don't trust Nick Caserio to draft an offensive lineman. That's the thing. We saw what happened with Kenyon Green. They drafted Blake Fisher this year in the second round. He's had some growing pains. I think he's going to be your starting left tackle eventually when they move on from Larry Tunsil. But I don't trust them to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. So I'd say be safe. They've been good drafting wide receivers. They drafted Tank Dell. They drafted Nico Collins. Draft a wide receiver in the first round. Draft Emeka Ibuka. Draft Matthew Golden if he's there. Draft a young guy. Even then, that's not gonna stop you from having to add in free agency. You're gonna need wide receiver depth regardless. Are you really gonna have to rely on John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson again? When it comes down to it, say Nico Collins hasn't been able to stay on the field. He's probably gonna miss time next year again. He's missed time every year he's been in the league. So when you take that into context, it's like, okay, this becomes more important now than what it did before. We know Nico Collins is going to miss time. You need wide receiver depth bad. So that's why I'm open to bringing back Diggs if it's on a 1-year deal, a 1-year cheap deal. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand with it right now. Also, let's get into this, man. Kamari Lassiter and Calen Bullock not on the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates list. Let's be real, man. The NFL, the awards have become a popularity contest at this point. Actually, let's take a look at the candidate list real quick. So you got Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, Brandon Fisk, Florida State, Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo, Chop Robinson, Penn State, Jared Verse, Florida State. So you got 2 Philadelphia Eagles on there. You got 2 Rams, and you got a Dolphin. So look, they're already going off in the comments. But yeah, man. I mean, Cooper DeJean, I think he's a dog, but I don't think he had any interceptions this year. Same with Quinyon Mitchell. I don't think he had a regular season interception either. And it's not to take away any of those guys. I just believe Kamari Lassiter and Calen Bullock have had a similar, if not better, impact on the team. And I know it's kind of hard to argue that because where Philadelphia's defense was last year was straight garbage, especially the way they finished the year and the way they finished that wild card game in Tampa Bay last year where they just got absolutely cooked. Defense looked atrocious. They hired Vic Fangio. They drafted these 2 young fellas right here, and it completely revamped their defense. They were the number 1 overall defense, I believe, this year. We're not like scoring wise, but in a lot of people's minds, they were the number 1 overall defense. So, I mean, props to them, I guess. I guess they deserve it. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. Jared Verse is going to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think it's pretty much, set in stone. So I'm not going to make like too big of a deal out of this because even if Kamari Lassiter and Calen Bullock were to make the list, I don't think they would win anyway because I think Jared Verse has got it on lock. But Chop Robinson had a good year, but it's just like, man, how do you leave Kamari Lassiter or Calen Bullock off of a Defensive Rookie of the Year list? I mean, it's whatever, it is what it is. So yeah, there's that. Also, let's take a look into some of the pending free agents for the Texans this year. This is courtesy of Texans Cap on X. This is the unrestricted free agents list. You got Derek Barnett, solid depth piece. They re-signed him after they re-signed him this past year. They re-signed him after last season when he was scheduled to become a free agent. They signed him to another 1-year deal. I think if you can do it again, do it again. I mean, he's been a solid depth piece. He had 2 touchdowns this year. Hell, he had more touchdowns than John Mechie. He had more touchdowns than Xavier Hutchinson. So, I mean, if Derek Barnett, if he's willing to return, I think you throw it at him. I think you re-sign him. Obviously, if it fits the financial needs. Chris Boyd, special teamer, really. If you want to bring him back, sure. I mean, guys like this, Miles Bryant, although Miles Bryant did step up in the playoffs. He was the starting nickel, which is kind of crazy to say. But he was the starting nickel after Jalen Peter and Jimmy Ward went down. He did a decent job. It wasn't like out of this world or anything. But I mean, if you want to bring him back, develop him a little more, sure. I'm for it. Stefon Diggs, like I said, it all depends on what he's going to demand in the market. If he wants to put it on another 1-year prove-it deal, that's financially reasonable for both sides, I'm all for it. Go for it. Fadukasi. What Fadukasi's been on the field, man, he's been such a big addition to this defense. His ability to stop the run is great. He's such a big body, man. The thing is, can he stay on the field? Does that go into, negotiations, when they negotiate this offseason if they want to bring him back? Does his past history of injury, does that play a factor into how much money he gets? If so, if you can get him at, kind of a bargain, I'd go for it. Absolutely. Kendrick Green, I mean, I'd let him walk, man. Let's just be real. The offensive line needs a complete revamp. Um, outside of, Laramie Tunsil. So as far as staying, Kadar Holman, special teamers, really. He actually played quite a bit when Kamari Lassiter was out to injury. Think back to specifically the Lions game when he had to step in, and I mean, it wasn't terrible, but there's better options out there. Jerry Hughes, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired after this season. He's been in the league for a long time, so that's where I stand with that. Case Keenum, look, Case, if you want to go somewhere else and play, you think you can still play and be like a third string option, sure, go for it. But here's the thing about Case. I think Case has the ability to be a coach in this league, a good one. I mean, word from training camp is he's out there on the sidelines during training camp. This was when training camp was going on. He's got the headset on, and it looks like, he's very involved in with what they're doing. And now there's word that Gerard Johnson might leave to become the offensive coordinator for Aaron Glenn's staff in New York, who just got hired yesterday for the Jets head coaching job. And there's word that, Gerard might be heading there to be the offensive coordinator. If that's the case, I think you call up. If that's the case, I think you call up Case and ask him to be your quarterback coach. I mean, obviously CJ loves him. He knows this system better than anywhere. He's been in Houston, for a long time. He loves being here. So, I mean, might as well, right? Eric Murray. The thing about Eric Murray is a lot of people shitted on Eric Murray during the season, but the thing is, when he was called to step upon, when he was called upon, it wasn't like terrible, like it wasn't bad. I mean, sure, he got beat every now and then. That's gonna happen, but Eric Murray was a solid depth piece. I figured, opposing coordinators would try to target at him more in coverage. But when they did, I specifically think back to the Indianapolis game where he had all those PBUs. He did a nice job, man. So if they want to bring back Eric Murray, I'm for it. Cool, I guess, for a depth piece. I'm not saying, Eric Murray should be your starter or anything. That's kind of blasphemous. But if you want to bring him back as a backup, sure, go for it. Daria Gumbawale, like I said, man, the offensive skill position group, you need a massive, massive upgrade there, especially at the running back position. Joe Mixon's obviously the workhorse, but realistically, he's getting older, man. He's not getting any younger. And if you're going to ask Joe Mixon to do what he did this year and carry the load as he's getting older, I feel like you're just going to be setting yourself up for, letdown eventually with Joe Mixon. So obviously Joe Mixon's your starting running back. Dameon Pierce, I mean, he's had some nice moments, but the reality is they don't trust him. They don't trust him in big situations. They ran him a few times in the playoff games. A lot of people were saying they wanted to see more Pierce, but clearly the staff didn't agree with that. So they don't trust Dameon Pierce. He's going to be in the last year of his contract coming up this year. I think you draft a few running backs, maybe bring a vet in from free agency. I'd let Daria Gumbawale walk personally. Jeff Okudah was brought here to be the cornerback 3 and compete in training camp, which he did. But I feel like there's just better options for a cornerback 3. Delshon Phillips, I mean, who cares? No offense to Delshon Phillips, but Irv Smith, got to upgrade the tight end room. Dalton Schultz, man, it was a rough watch this year, if we're just being honest, man. Dalton Schultz, I mean, he doesn't look as explosive. He's a terrible blocker. I mean, we saw that in the divisional game versus Kansas City, a complete liability when it comes to blocking. Stover's coming off a season-ending injury in the wild card game versus the Chargers. So I think you should draft a tight end as well. Maybe Gunnar Helm from Texas. Tyler Warren's on the wish list, but I don't think he's going to be there by the time the Texans pick 25. If he is, jump on that, Nick Caserio. Jump on that immediately if Tyler Warren's still there, but I doubt he is. MJ Stewart, special teamer. I mean, they want to bring him back for, kickoff, punt and shit like that. Go ahead. John Weeks, I mean, he's old as hell. He's been a Texan his entire career. He's the longest tenured Texan. If he wants to come back and be the long snapper again, sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Devin White, I think he's gonna want a new opportunity, man. He was inactive a lot of the times when the Texans had their full linebacker core suited up. So I think he'd want a better opportunity, get some more playing time. And Robert Woods, like I said, I believe they move on from him. So yeah, man, that's just kind of where everything stands right now. With the free agents and all that. So the big headlines for today, the storylines for today, should the Texans bring back Diggs? Like I said, man, if he wants to take a team friendly deal, sure. You need a veteran presence. If he wants more than what Nick Caserio and them feel like he should get, you got to let him walk, man. You got to let him walk. And it is what it is. You can draft wide receivers, there's going to be some veteran free agents. I think of guys like Tyler Lockett. There's word that he might get cut. If that's the case, sign him. He's not going to demand a lot of money. It's Tyler Lockett. He's been in the league forever. He knows the system as well. And I think he'd be a good fit, if he can stay healthy, obviously. Kamari, Lassiter, and Caleb Bullock, I guess, snubbed. I mean, I think they were personally stubbed, but I mean, call me biased or whatever. I watch them every week, and I just believe at least one of those guys should have been on the defensive rookie of the year candidate list. And then we got into the pending free agents, who we think the Texans should bring back and whatnot. Other than that, that's gonna be it. Thank you guys for watching, man. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe. I'm gonna be bringing more content here during the off season. It's probably gonna be weekly, probably a few times a week. Eventually we'll get to daily. Hopefully, I'm trying to get the whole the setup's a little wishy-washy right now. So I'm trying to get that upgraded, maybe get a better camera, get some better lighting up in here, just make it look more presentable. But yeah, man, other than that, that's it, man. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys follow me on X. I'm posting every day, engaging with people, engaging with comments. I respond to comments and stuff like that. So yeah, man, thank you guys for watching, man. I'll see you guys next time.